All right, so my name is Branden Cinquegrani. This is New Home Sales Made Easy. So first off, I'll start it off with everybody who's sold a new home before. You? All right. All right, well, for everybody else in the room, we're gonna make sure that you actually do sell a new home. I would say as your first new home sale, what was the difficulty you had? What was different than a traditional offer on a resale home?
You don't actually write an offer. You just kind of negotiate back and forth verbally. It's different.
Right. Yeah. So you're already working with the principal, which is totally different from, going. Well, I mean, they might have a sales manager, so but it's pretty much you're negotiating face to face with somebody instead of having to write this, submit that. But that varies also too, depending on the builder. Some builders, they will actually make you submit an offer and come back at a different time. And they're just trying to see if someone else is willing to give them more, I feel like anyways, on those situations. So today we're gonna pretty much go over everything that is different and the way that you should pursue that. And does anybody know what's going on with builders currently where a lot of agents are reluctant to go to new home sales?
Because they're not offering co-ops.
They're not offering co-ops. Okay. I've heard agents that are selling homes and they're not getting paid on the deal at all, but they feel like it's the best thing to do for their client and they're going ahead and they're pursuing to close that deal with their client. I would say this is not a great business practice. Just kind of give you guys a heads up. I don't know about you, but I do this for a living, and it's to feed my family and to provide. Maybe one day I can donate my time towards it, and I could have that. But honestly, we provide a service. Okay, I will say there are some agents out there who don't provide a fantastic service on a new home sale. Has anybody in this room know somebody who sold a new home and registered their client and never did a thing after that? Has anybody ever heard of another agent that's done that before? I have. And that's not really taking care of your client. You're basically, I understand that you're procuring cause, but when they hire you to take care of them through the transaction. That's some of the things that we're gonna go through today. Basically taking care of your client's best interest throughout that whole transaction. New home sales is pretty easy. I will say there is definitely some difficulties and nuances that aren't in regular real estate that we practice every day. But to combat the very first thing that we just talked about, what's something that we can provide our clients to make sure that, hey, if they're not paying, if they're not paying a co-op or they're only paying maybe a flat fee, well, the service that I'm gonna provide my client, for me, is worth a lot more than that. So what's something that I can do to ensure that I still get paid at the end of my transaction? A buyer brokerage agreement, BBA. I don't know why there's a lot of agents out that are still afraid of this document. I am not. You have to go out there and you have to provide your client a service, let them know, hey, at the end of the transaction, I'm gonna get a check and I'll make sure that you're taken care of throughout this process. What are the reasons that a client would like to use you instead of just going out and going to a new build and doing it on their own? What do they need you?
Your expertise to point out things that are not right in the transaction.
Yes, yeah. So your expertise, your skills. Your clients never purchased, or maybe they have purchased a house, but they definitely haven't purchased as many houses as you have. And you need to have the knowledge and you have to be able to provide them with, the expertise that you have. And part of that's going to be a lot different. One of the big differences between a new build and our everyday real estate is a purchase agreement. Now, our purchase agreement is how many pages? 12. Yeah? Or I think it's 11 right now, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's 11. It's 11 pages. Okay. I'm going to say this one's probably about 82 pages. All right. So you got a 50-page contract, 80-page contract, 100-page contract. There's a lot more going on in here. Who does this contract benefit? It benefits the builder. So one of the things you want to make sure is, and we're going to go over as well, is how to read a contract and provide that as something that you're going to be helping your client with. One of the things that you're going to be looking through there, you're going to be looking at your contract dates, just like you would in a regular RPA. One of the things I really like to do with my clients when we're going into a new build is explanations and expectations. Setting expectations with the builder. Every builder is a little different. With that said, a lot of it's all the same in the way that you're gonna work with your client. Speaking of expertise, what's another thing we can do? We kind of touched on it a minute ago. Negotiations. So negotiations, when you're working with a new build, can you negotiate?
Sure.
Yeah, you can. Does anybody know the greatest negotiation power you have with a builder? All right, has anybody heard of a QMI or quick move-in homes? So quick move-in homes. Does everybody know what a quick move-in home is?
It's already built.
Yeah, it's either built or almost near completion. It's going to be completed usually within the next 2 to 3 months. Someone's already picked out most of these options. So the flooring might be picked, the cabinets might be picked, the paint might be already done. Depending on where they're at in that stage, most of those things have already been solidified and they're just moving forward, they're going to build it out. Now, when those come available, your client didn't pick out those options. So you don't necessarily always have to pay for all those options. You can negotiate and get a killer price on the house, just basically paying base price and letting the builder pay for those options. So that's something that I've had a huge opportunity in with, personally. I've sold a lot of new homes just doing that. You can find a quick move-in home with a builder, and hey, if you go build brand new, it's going to be $450 once you choose your options. But this one, someone's already picked their own options. You don't get to pick out everything. But maybe the paint color hasn't picked out yet. You can change that. There's certain things that you might still be able to change. The rest of it, I can get taken care of. That same $450 house, I can now sell for $415, $420, $425, depending on how much options are put into that home. We can have some wiggle room there and still maybe even get them some closing costs. Tying that back into, a lot of people go to the builder because of closing costs. A lot of times they'll pay the closing costs, but what's the one caveat? You have to use their lender. So one thing I will tell you, because I know as real estate agents, we're usually tied to the hip with a lot of our lenders because, they take care of us, we take care of them. And you know that they'll get the deal done. Give the builder the opportunity to qualify your client. There has been numerous times where I've had a client who's well qualified, but maybe not the most qualified, and then a builder all of a sudden fell through and couldn't get him financing. They were still able to pay those closing costs to my lender and still close that deal. I always do this with all my clients, whether they're going to a builder or not. I still get them pre-approved with my lender just because of that fact. I do that also if they have one of their own lenders because it's also a good contingency plan if something goes wrong with their current lender and you're under contract. So different class for that, but good tidbits always keep in your back pocket. One of the things that I like in new home sales is going and meeting new sales agents. Has anybody went and just met a new sales agent before? If you're not doing that, you should. You should know all the products out there and know what the market is. Actually, I think this has happened to you before. You've been in and you knew of a quick move-in home in a neighborhood because I've had contacts with sales agents, and you knew of something that you could get a better deal on than you could even on a resale and put a client under contract. Well, you can't do that if you don't know about it. So go inside, introduce yourselves to the sales agents. We want to talk about brokers' compensation when, hey, they're not paying me compensation. Well, hey, that same person, when they have those homes, they're going to call you or email you with that opportunity because they want it off the books. They want to sell brand new construction, not that quick move-in home. So keep that in your back pocket. In an open house, another good tool and a little tidbit that I can give for everybody, if you're doing an open house in a neighborhood and Lennar, Beezer, KB's next door, go over there. Before you do your open house, go meet the sales agent. Say, hey, I'm doing an open house down the street. This is my price point. Do you have anything that's near that? Those people might be going to their, if they're coming into your open house, they might be going to that builder anyways. Or they may not, and they might not know about it, and it's around the corner. I've gone to the sales agent. They've handed me registration cards and say, hey, if you want to bring them through during your open house, just send them over with a registration card or bring them by, and I'll register them over you for sending them over. How easy is that? I've actually closed a deal that way, just from pulling a registration card, and this was with a Pulte home. I went and met with her before I went and held my open house. They ended up going over there. They ended up buying a house. I went over there, helped them go under their contract and helped them through the process. And all I did was let them know that they were down the street. And hey, they have one that's similar to the price point that you're currently looking in, and it might work for you. They said they even have a quick move-in that might close in 2 to 3 months. And it's brand new. Well, most people, the same reason you buy a new car, they like brand new. So sometimes they're going to go after that 9 times out of 10, whether it's a resale. Yeah, they think they want a resale, but then they're like, I don't want to do any of the work. So use that as leverage when you're holding your open houses. Go introduce yourselves to these agents, and they're more likely to want to work with you anyways because they know you. Nobody likes to, hey, if you're trying to, hey, I sent somebody over, but I never met you before. Well, they're not necessarily going to be like, oh, hey, you know what? I'll let you in on this deal. They're going to be like, no, I don't know who you are. They came in here without you. You have a nice day. So go meet yourself, introduce yourself to these people. They're salespeople just like you, and most of them are willing to work with you, especially if you introduce yourself. One of the reasons why I say know your market, if you don't, your client will, and you'll end up losing that deal. Back to setting expectations with your clients. So going through the process of the new home sale, there's a lot of different steps through the new home process that you need to make sure that you're touching base on with your clients. One is the contract. When you're going through the contract, usually your purchase price is going to be, it's sometimes on this first page, it's sometimes 10 pages deep. You want to make sure that the purchase price of the home is matching what you guys are actually going into contract on. Does anybody know the 10? I call it the 10% rule. Does anybody know what the 10% rule is? Yeah. All right. So the 10% rule is basically if KB, Beezer, Richmond American Homes has a property and it says, hey, this house is 359 at elevation A, 360 at elevation B, and 361 at elevation C. Is that the price of the house?
Base price.
That is the base price of the house. So the rule of thumb, if you don't know this, you should. It's about 10% for most builders. 10% of that sales price, put that right on top of that base price, and that's probably going to be somewhere where you're at with that new home. Now, there are certain builders that are doing more all-inclusive stuff. Lennar has been doing that for a really long time. But D.R. Horton also has some builds, and I know there's a couple other builders that are kind of mirroring that model. With that, the price points are higher, but there's less upgrades, so it's more of what you see is what you get. Usually the upgrades, if you're going to go buy a Lennar home, would be flooring, paint, and a lot in elevation. Those are usually like and sometimes appliances, depending on which neighborhood you go in. There's not a whole lot to upgrade. Everybody's kind of getting the same home. They do some upgrades that they think everybody wants, and that's what they go with. KB, it's always a long-running joke. They are, the doorbell's an upgrade. It's like, yeah, you wanted a doorbell? That'll be another $100. Yeah. So, that's kind of the ongoing joke with me anyways, is like, oh, everything is an option if you go to KB. They advertise that super low price. The lot premiums are usually a little bit higher, but know your builders. That's part of this class too. And I want you to go out, meet the builders, and see their differences. They're a lot different. Yeah.
So you're saying that the average builder's price is 10% over the base price?
Correct.
That's the upgrades?
Yes.
10%. Do you have any idea what their profit margin on a home is?
That's a very good question, but I would probably say on those upgrades, it's significantly high. You're probably looking at 70 to 80% on upgrades, but on the entire house, I would say they're probably, it's depending on certain things. Like right now, lumber's been really expensive, so that's definitely going to be cutting into their profit margins. But I can guarantee you on any given house, they're making 50% or more on that house. Yeah. Their build costs are incredibly low because they're building in mass volume. And most houses with builders on tract homes, they're kit houses. So they have that same model. It's being sold across America. The lumber knows how to cut those. You order it as a client. They put it on the order. They come and they drop it off in front of the house. It's a kit. It's already made. It's built to suit. So they keep their costs really low. So no, I would say, yeah, their profit margins are pretty high. That's why bringing back to co-op, they can afford to pay you. It's just to let you know, yeah.
So they even come off the base price?
Oh, 100%. And I've sold a Lennar home below base price I probably had about $50,000 in upgrades. Now, again, it kind of moves with the market. When they need you, they'll give you everything. Hey, you know what? Hey, you want this a stainless steel package? You know what? One for your client, one for you. Just keep bringing them down here, and that's how they are. But it moves with the market. But I would say don't stop selling new homes. If your client wants one, it's okay. You just have to make that explanation to them and set that expectation. Be like, hey, look, I can go in, I can negotiate on your behalf. I can show you all the nuances between the process and the expectation of building a house. One of the craziest things, we'll go back to the contract too, when we go back to, we're talking about timelines. I don't know if you guys have heard, but there's some people who've been waiting for their house to be built for 6 months to a year or more. Yeah.
I have one right now.
Yeah.
We don't even know if they're gonna get it.
Yeah.
Because they're on a list for November. And the good thing about the deal is that my client agreed to pay me if they get because they won't pay me.
Oh.
Over at 800, well, actually it's gonna be like $900,000 and they don't wanna pay me.
Yeah. Go and see. So in 100%.
You know you're paid.
You're like, hey.
I honestly love when they say that. They're like, no, actually I am, because you see this buyer brokerage agreement here? This says I am going to get paid, and I'm going to hold their hand through this whole transaction and represent them. So it's been, it's going to be great working with you.
Started working with a new client. That would be one of the process when you start a new client.
Yep.
Say, I can help you buy a new home or a owner
Yeah, resale?
resale
Yeah.
if you sign them.
I do that with all my clients. And, part of this process, and, we're working through the process here, but they need you. They just don't know it yet. So, upgrades. If they're building from scratch, we just talked about the 10% rule. That's their lot premium and upgrades. Has anybody been to a design center before? Oh my gosh. Have you ever been to,
Your 10% go to 30,
right.
40.
Have you ever, it does. Have you ever been, it's probably the next step around, it's around a timeshare. That's the best thing I can say. It's like, oh, you know what? well, you could get this. This is the basic panel, and it'll show you something that's super flimsy, and be like, this is what's included. Or you can get all these great things over here. And they'll show you all the differences, and then you're like, well, I don't want the worst thing. I got to at least get the one step up, and then all of a sudden, it's very stressful. Set that expectation with your client.
It's very stressful too, because they might not be able to afford it from the lender's point of view, like you said.
Not only that, if they can't afford it, if you get too much for it, it won't appraise. Setting another expectation.
And I think that's in the contracts too, they tell you up front
Oh, yeah.
that you may not appraise.
And they'll want you to pay the difference. They will. So setting that expectation with your client is huge. I'm already, just with that little bit of knowledge and sharing that with them and they being represented, are you not saving them time and money and a potential headache? You're representing them. What's that?
A whole lot more than that commission.
More than that commission, because if you go in there, $800,000-$900,000 house, and they put $180,000 in upgrades, and it only goes up $100,000, and they got to come up with that $80,000. Well, my commission was definitely a lot less than that. I could have set that expectation for you and let you know that that was going to happen. And a lot of those things, you might want to tell your client, you don't have to do everything through the builder. Get the basic carpet.
They used
If
to
you
do a bare floor close, they stopped doing that.
Oh, yeah.
But they used to let you do that.
Yeah. Oh, I've had clients all the time. We're like, hey, you know what? Look, their flooring, they'll look at it and be like, hey, it's this tile, and they got the, I'm trying to remember what they call it, I can't remember the name of the design of the tile. Herringbone tile throughout the house, and it's beautiful. And oh yeah, by the way, that flooring is going to be, $28,000. I'm like, hey, you know what we can do? Tell them that that's what you want. We'll just mark it down for now, but we can change that. It's changeable within a certain time frame. Again, read the contract. Hey, I got a flooring guy. I gave him exactly what you're looking at. I took a picture and I sent it to him. He says that he can do it for $18,000. Do you want to just do that now? Again, instead of just coughing up that $80,000, we just cut into that. Now we're down to 70. Now you can find all those little different things where it's like, hey, if you didn't actually go through the builder, you could save some money. Get their basic stuff. I've actually had someone who got the basic carpet throughout it. The carpet guy, because it was brand new, actually gave them some money because it's brand new carpet. He was just going to go use it in another house. It wasn't a lot. It was like $500, but $500 towards your $18,000 carpet, hey, I'm going to take it. It's $17,500 now. So there's certain things where you can actually have more of a benefit to your client just going through and going to the design center. If you don't go to the design center, still set that expectation with them and let them know what's going to happen before they get there. You will save potentially a deal and a huge headache for your client. So make sure you're doing that. Lot premiums, again, depending on the builder. How much is, we don't sell views in real estate, but if you got a lot with a view of the Las Vegas Strip, what do you think the going rate is right now for that? Yeah, I would say the same. Probably starting, right? About $100,000. Yeah. If you got like a glimpse, like you can see the top of the stratosphere, they're like 50, like you can see the top. Yeah, but you can see the top. Look, it's right there. Yeah, if you get on your roof, you can see the fireworks around the town. Yeah, no, they will charge you for that. So set that, another thing to set your expectation with your buyer. Warranties. So one of the reasons why a lot of people buy brand new homes, like buying a brand new car, it's got a warranty, right? Every builder has a little bit different warranty. Make sure you're going through those with your clients. Now, with that said, the majority of them, first year, it's usually bumper to bumper. Just like a car, if something breaks, they come out and they fix it. Now, with that said, has anybody ever tried to order a home inspection on a new construction house? Okay. Do most builders want you to have a home inspector?
Nope.
No.
They'll do whatever.
Do your clients want to have a home inspector?
Yes.
Yes. Will they, I'll say probably half of them will not allow a home inspector on property. They will say they will, And then they'll set these ridiculous expectations that most home inspectors can't meet. They'll be like, oh, they need to have a $5 million bond liability. And it's like, how am I going to create that type of drama on, this $500,000 house? But they'll set those expectations. So one of the things that I usually do with clients, and I would recommend this for you as well, is during that bumper-to-bumper warranty, they do have liability. They built that house. No matter what they write into their contract, they still have to back their product. So have your home inspector go in after you close if they're not allowing it. You know what's even smarter to do that? For me, I recommend that they do it before the year is up. You lived in the house for 10 months. You probably flipped all the switches, you ran all the water, something might have worn out and maybe it wasn't installed correctly and you haven't really realized it yet. Call your inspector out now. He does the inspection and he might be able to find other things that maybe just wore out or from not being installed correctly after 10 months. Now you put in a huge work order before your year's over, the builder is now liable to come out and fix all those problems. Did I just save my client more money? I did. So I'm earning my commission, guys. I'm gonna let you guys know right now. I'm gonna earn my commission on this. Let me see. Oh, I gotta skip around here, sorry. All right, so the building process. If you're building from scratch, okay, you went out, you picked out your options, you picked out your dirt, I got the tip of the stratosphere, I can see it, it's beautiful. You see the lights and the ride. What's next? Anybody? They got to break ground. They lay your foundation, right? Okay, that's the first process. So they come out, they do the foundation, and most people don't know what we're looking at, right? And they're like, all right, it looks like cement, and it's got a couple pipes hanging out here. I think this is where the power's coming in, but that is part of the process. I'm no expert at that part, but I will tell you there's certain things that you can look for. If that footing doesn't look like the footprint to the house that you're building, you might want to say something. There's certain, that's actually happened before, where people have, oh, hey, we actually laid the wrong footing, and this was for another model. So if you look and you're like, hey, I have a single story, and it's this big instead of this big because it's got a bigger footprint, that's something you might want to bring up right off the bat. I still recommend that you and your clients walk the property at that stage. Throughout the whole process, you should be walking the property and making sure you're getting what you want. Yes. So the next one after that, frame goes up. Has anybody ever done a frame walk before? Put on the hard hat? Yeah? Looks super cool. Take some pictures, some selfies for the gram. Yeah?
Where'd you get these trees? This is bad. And they're like, oh my God. Yeah.
I will tell you though, there's a lot of good things that can come from a frame walk. So I've done a walk before, builder. I'll just say the first name was America. Anyways, I go out there and we're doing a walk and I'm like, well, didn't we have an access door for a garage over here? Like, I don't see it framed out. There's boards going down. Like, it's not framed out. And we pull up the option sheet and yeah, they paid an extra like $1,800 to do a frame out and like some little thing that covers the side of the door. I was like, well, there's nothing there. We go throughout the house. They added, the loft was supposed to be another bedroom. Well, there's no frame for a closet. Okay, are you guys adding that later? Or is what we see well, and the guy's already stuttering, and I can already tell because not only that, it's an archway instead of a door. So there's supposed to be a door there, and instead they have an arch. So they weren't building the loft. They were building the loft. They weren't building the extra bedroom. Honestly, go to your frame walks. How bad would that have been if we're trying to go to close and we walk through at the final walkthrough and be like, where's my bedroom and where's my exit? How do you know, like, your client might just back out at that point. I know I might, you know, I'd be like, all right, this isn't the house that I wanted. You know, like, this is nice, but this isn't what I asked for. And, oh, well, we can refund you. Well, at that point, I don't want a refund. I just want the house that I ordered. I've been waiting for 9 months or a year for. So make sure that you guys are going to the frame walks. Another cool thing about frame walks, okay? This is another little fun tidbit. I'm gonna have you, and make sure that you share this with your clients. Take pictures, okay? People are always like, what do you mean? Why do you want to take pictures? There's a bunch of sticks and, you know, random stuff. I don't even know what's going on in this house. What's behind the walls? Electrical, pipes, all that stuff. I have gotten so many of my clients reaching back out to me, hey, I just want to thank you for, I went to go hang up a TV in X room, and I just want to thank you again because I didn't realize that there was a pipe running through this wall, and I totally could have hit it. Honestly, there's so much stuff where it's like, hey, you know what? Later on, maybe I want to add a room. I want to take out a room. Is this a load-bearing wall? Well, hey, guess what, guys? This is it. This is it before all the drywall and all the pretty stuff went up. Make sure that you guys use that as a tidbit. I've actually, for even out-of-state buyers, I'll go by and I'll take pictures of the frame for them. Like, hey, just as a courtesy for you, I know you're wherever right now. I just want to let you know this is what your house looks like, but I also took some pictures of some major areas for you that if you ever want to hang pictures or anything like that, you know where the plumbing's at. And they're like, oh, thank you very much. Huge gesture and another benefit to your client. So after frame, drywall.
Another cool thing too.
Yeah.
In your frame walks, you can try to ask them to put blocking in for TVs, so when you mount it.
Oh yeah.
So like, you know, you have the studs this way, you can ask them to put in some cross pieces so you mount the TV.
That's a good one. And I'll say some builders are actually including that now because it's been a popular request, but that is definitely something to ask for. I will say too, before drywall, because drywall is my next step, if your client upgraded to a higher density foam insulation or anything like that, you have to find that out before the drywall goes up. It's very difficult to determine after the fact if that's what you got. So if your client did pay for that, I would say between you and your client, I would say, hey, right after the frame, you should probably come back here and just double check and make sure you're getting the insulation that you ordered. Because some, especially, I know KB is one of them, you can order, like they'll give you the basic R value insulation, but if you want, you can upgrade it and we'll do, what are they, I'm sorry, the attic, I can't remember what it's called now. What's that? Yeah, or the metal sheeting that goes over the top. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Radiant barrier. So like radiant barriers and all that, you want to make sure that if they paid for that stuff, that they're actually getting it. Because there's a lot of times, you know, builders are humans too. They order the wrong thing. They look at it, oh, it's just this, and then they end up getting the wrong thing, or they get the wrong order. And they're like, we'll just put it in anyways. So drywall, after drywall, all the pretty stuff goes in. Drywall is the next step. I don't really care too much to be through drywall just because there's really nothing to see. All of it was to be seen through the framing process. If your clients want to go out and see drywall, they're more than welcome to. That's something that I usually don't go because there's really not too much to tell at drywall. It's after drywall is when you start getting all this stuff.
Now, I know with your, because I did so many, because that's mainly what I used to do was just new construction because it was easier.
Yeah.
But so I learned a lot about the building process. But
Yeah.
what I did find out too is to tell people when you order, because a lot of times people, when they're tech savvy, they want the Cat 5s and the this and the that and your surround sound, all that stuff. Make sure it's there, because my client ordered a bunch of stuff because he's a gamer. And I was like, we took pictures of everything to make sure that it was gonna be there, because like I said, once they start to cut out too, they missed like some can lights that you might have gotten, they were still up there, and they forgot to cut them out.
Yeah.
So when you look at your sheetrock, you know, a lot of times they don't cut out like all the outlets you might have had, you know, things like that.
That's a good.
You definitely have to make sure you take pictures, because it's easy for you to forget too, and then you realize like, there's still a light right there.
Yep.
And it's still there. We even found one in our house, which is funny.
Yeah.
I was like, there should be a light here, I would think, because this seems like a dark spot. And my husband crawled up in the attic. Sure enough, there was a
can.
there.
They just didn't cut it out. Oh my gosh.
Cut it out, and
That's.
but it was like, wow. But you know, it's just stuff like that. Yeah.
That's actually, that's pretty, and honestly, like I said, builders, especially with a lot of trades in there, they make those mistakes, and you have to keep, you're 100% right. I would say throughout the process, you have to keep your eyes peeled, because they do make mistakes, and you want to find that. The next step after that, all the pretty stuff that goes in, your cabinets that you picked out, your lighting fixtures, your can lights, your granite, your tile, your wood flooring, whatever it may be, all that stuff, you're gonna have to start making sure that what you ordered is what you got. So I don't know if, I'm sure you've ran into this problem, wrong cabinets.
Oh, no, we had one even better.
Yeah?
He got the white cabinet, which is an upgrade.
Yeah.
And he had a KD.
Yeah.
One of the drawers was a wholly different color. And you know,
Nice.
it's like, I kept looking at it going, maybe it's the sunlight and stuff. No, the color was totally different. And so they had to redo that one cabinet drawer face front because it was a different color, white, than the others. I was like, how did they not know that?
Yep.
It's like,
And I'll let you know one that I've noticed people overlook all the time is fixtures. So, hey, you went into that studio, you saw 50 faucets, okay? I picked out that one, but they gave you that one. That happens all the time. So especially the builders that you get to pick out those options. So just, certain things, bring that up to your client. Even when they're at the option studio going back, I even sometimes recommend my clients to take pictures of what they wanted, because they're allowed to differentiate too in your contract. Let your client know that when they're picking out their options, certain things are allowed to differentiate. So if they're no longer allowed to get Kohler anymore, but they have a Delta version that looks similar to that, they can change it, but it has to be somewhat similar to what they picked out. It can't be something totally different, and you can call the builder out on that. So after you're going through that, your final, what they like to call is your final walk. Has everybody done a final walk? Got the blue tape? Yep. So I don't know about you, but typically I feel like whenever you're doing the final walk, the guy that's there does not want the realtor there, right? They will sometimes even try and schedule it without you. Has anybody? All right. Keep on your client. Make sure that because the agent and the superintendent of the construction, they won't reach out to you. They know that realtors know what to look for, and they don't want you there because it's more work for them. So make sure you are there no matter what. It's a very important walk, and I think all realtors need to be if you're not going to do all this other stuff, which you should be doing, at very least, you should be at your final walk. So the final walk, a lot of times, all it is if they did a good job, it's just paint touch-up. If they don't do a good job, it could be a lot more. I've had ones where, hey, this window doesn't open and close. The reason why it actually drew me in, it kind of looked crooked. So I go up to the window. Well, go to find out, when they installed it, they broke the interior sash on it. You need a whole new window. We were supposed to close in a week. Well, that changed. They weren't happy about it, but it needed to be done. The guy who replaced the window, because we ended up having to meet him there, he said, he's like, if the first rain you would have got, because we get windy rains out here, he's like, it would have just started coming through the window. Right. You're not going to be able to catch everything, but it's always better to have an extra set of eyes on it. My clients, super happy that I found that form. They knew that it saved them a headache. They wanted to get into the house earlier, but they understood and they knew that it saved them a headache down the road. So stuff like that, make sure you're just keeping your eyes peeled. Another one, and they will try to hide it from you like crazy, is appliances. Has anybody seen a ding in an appliance before? Okay, well, you know what's happened with the world, and trying to find appliances right now is just as crazy as pretty much anything else. If you find a ding in an appliance, you need to let your client know. And they will try and close your deal with that dinged appliance and promise you that you'll get a new one. Is that really doing what's best for your client?
I had one where had a ding in the fridge, but
Yeah.
they put one of their like
Magnets?
stickers over it
Yeah.
with a magnet. So I don't know why, but I took it off and with a big ass ding in it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. You need to look, you need to be a sleuth and take your time. Go room by room and look through it. Kitchens, open up all the cabinets. Open up all the windows. Close all the windows. You're pretty much a home inspector at this moment. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Yeah.
Do you check the edges of the countertop?
Oh, I done, I had.
Run your finger around the edge of it, make sure there's no chips or anything like that.
Yeah, or even just over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can get chunks that are missing out of the top. You don't even notice until you go like this and you're like, oh,
They're trying to blame you.
yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, when you were moving, you probably did that.
Oh, they will. So that's why, honestly, find anything and everything. And after that, you have your final walk. After they came through and they did all the paint touch-ups and everything. I'll let you know too, some of the builders now, they have like a certain timeline after your final walk that they can't close the house until. So just kind of give you a heads up, depending on the builder. Some of it's 3 days before you can actually, if you do your final walk and your client's like, hey, we're gonna close, I'm finally gonna get my keys. And then you find out that, like I think Lennar has a 72-hour period that they won't close on your house after your final approval of your final walk. So make sure you know that stuff because yeah, your client would definitely like to know when they're gonna actually close. So dealing with escrow and loan officers. Anybody ever deal with escrow officer or loan officer on a new build? Yep. Is it different?
Oh yeah.
It's different. So lenders sometimes aren't super communicative, okay? You're gonna have to stay on top of them typically more than your own lender. Make sure that they're actually doing what they're doing as well to make sure that your client still gets the house. So still keep on top of your lender. That's something to keep, to take care of your client. Escrow officers. I've had issues with escrow officers. So a lot of builders, commission instructions is, has anybody received commission instructions after you closed? All right, well that's a lot of builders. They won't send you your commission instructions until after close. Really atypical of what we usually do and can also be very daunting if you've never done a new build before. You will get those commission instructions. You will get paid. It usually has to go to somebody higher up for final approval for them to sign off on your commissions. Do I think it's entirely the right thing to do? No, but I haven't had an issue and I've always gotten paid. I will say, depending on the escrow officer, you might have to be pushy. I've had to do that with a lot of escrow officers where I don't get that commission instructions the day after we close. I end up getting it 3 days after we close. And I send it right back and I still don't get a paycheck for about another week. And it's all because of the actual escrow officer. So to remedy that, I've had to go above the actual escrow officer and talk to talk to whoever's above them, their supervisor. Because that's something, we typically, I'm sure you guys know and love a lot of escrow officers out there and they take care of you. So sometimes you have to, just something to keep in mind that does happen in new builds. Sometimes you have to chase your check a little bit. Actually, I've had quite a few of those with a certain builder I won't mention, but I did always get paid.
I know that builder, and they actually sent the commission instructions to us today, and we closed in 3 weeks.
Oh, nice. You got it early. Man, well, maybe they're doing a better job over there now. Maybe they got a better escrow officer. They've changed a couple. I've used them a few times. But yeah, the very last thing of this class, we closed. The client's got the keys. Now, I'm sure you guys do this on most of your transactions, but you should do it on your new home builds as well, because I know a lot of agents just let it go by the wayside. The follow-up. Follow up with your clients. The builder's gonna follow up with your client typically and just say, hey, within that first 30 days, I will say this customer service has actually dropped off a little bit because of what happened over this last summer and multiple offers. But like anything, it'll change with the market, and they'll do it. They'll make sure they're doing it ahead of time. Is they usually do about a 30-day like follow-up survey, making sure that everything was okay with the home. Follow up with your clients. Let them know that if anything that happened, and there's usually a contact number for the supervisor or the superintendent that you did your walk with, that person within those 30 days will typically be able to fix something that's in the house. So, hey, you got into the house, you found out that one of the GFIs, every time I turn this thing on, the GFI flips. Call them. Say, hey, every time I turn this on, the GFI is going out. They'll come out and they'll typically go out and they'll replace that for your client. If you don't tell your client that, it's kind of like when you get a home warranty on a resale, they forget about it. You have to call and remind them. They'll live with it, and then they'll curse your name later, or the builder. But honestly, you should let them know, because nobody wants to find out later on down the road that hey, we could have got something fixed for free. Now that you took so long, we're gonna go ahead and start charging you for that now, or it's your mistake because you did something. You've been in the house this long. So to fight all that he said, she said stuff, make sure that you end that at the end of the transaction. Make sure you make that follow-up call back to your to your client. That was pretty much all I got for you guys. Do you guys have any questions? The question was new home sales made easy, so I can't make it a really long class.
Oh, I missed it.
That's all right, man.
I see
Yeah.
it. I like that.
Yeah.
Follow up.
What building is not paying?
I've heard that on certain. I haven't heard of a builder who's not completely and now isn't completely paying a commission. Sometimes it's depending on which area they're in. So if they have a community that's been selling out, they're not paying a commission. And on the exact opposite spectrum, I've been seeing bonus commissions coming back in certain areas where they have quick move-in homes. So, what's that?
Bonus? Where you get bonuses?
Yes.
Brought their 3% back.
Yep. Yeah. So honestly,
Bernard said they give me a high five. Really close. High five.
yeah, I will say it depends on the community.
Yeah, the one over there has they.
Yeah, it depends on the community. And honestly, but it's just like us. Everything moves with the market. If you're in a seller's market, agents are coughing up their commission left and right. Like, oh yeah, no, it'll sell like nothing. I'll list it for whatever. So know your worth, and ask your clients for it. If you're actually providing everything that we went over, you're worth it. If you're that agent that just went and registered them and said see you later, you're not worth it. That's plain and simple. That's the only way to call it out. But yeah, most of them, the good and the bad. During the shutdown, I was closing transactions for 4 and 5 bananas, okay? Across the board. I could go sell a new home, and they were paying big time. All right, guess what? The market changed, and they're paying less. I'm not mad at them. Business is business. When they need you, they're going to pay you more. When they don't need you, they're going to pay you less. That's usually, that's life. So honestly, I don't get upset at builders. If I actually bring that value to my client already, I'm going to get paid no matter what. In an up market, in a down market, it doesn't really matter. You can still show those homes. Just get your client under a BBA and explain it to them. Hey, if you're going to go to a new home sales, I've done it a million times, and I can definitely help you out. But don't go in without me. Yeah, everybody's seen that sign, right? Bring your agent on the first tour. I have a team, so I'm kind of lucky. I'll be like, hey, I don't care if it's on a Wednesday at 6 o'clock. I will find somebody, if it's not me, to go and meet you over there, and we'll go check it out. It's worth it to do that and just say, hey, look, call me. You don't want them walking in there. If you actually tell them that, they'll either not go without you, or they will at least give you a call before they go. So set the expectation with them. Make it happen. You know, honestly, the only person to blame at the end of the day if you didn't set that expectation is yourself. So don't get upset. It's not the builder's fault. They want to make sales just as bad as you do. They're sales agents, hungry, just trying to make their check in there. So, yeah. Yeah. All right.
Good.
You're going to say something? Look like you had a question. Anybody else? All right. Well, that's new home sales made easy.
Hey.